Welcome to our exploration of process costing fundamentals. We'll use a bakery and brewery example to illustrate these principles step by step. In this session, we'll focus on one department, evaluate two cases, and apply the weighted average method to track production costs in continuous manufacturing. Get ready to dive into the key concepts that drive cost accounting in manufacturing and ensure reliable financial reporting. Process costing is a method for accumulating costs when identical or similar products flow continuously through one or more departments. To calculate unit cost, you divide total costs by equivalent units produced. You'll find this approach in industries like chemicals and petroleum, food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, textiles and paper, and cement and steel, where large-scale, uniform production makes tracking costs by batch impractical but crucial for accurate accounting. At its heart, it ensures businesses understand per-unit costs in ongoing operations. The biggest difference between job order costing and process costing is the extent of averaging. Job order costing traces costs to individual, unique jobs, each getting its own cost sheet, while process costing averages costs over large numbers of identical units flowing through a department. So in job order costing you know what each specific job costs, but in process costing you only know what the average unit costs. Equivalent units translate partially completed work into full unit terms, so we can assign costs accurately. Think of having 2,000 muffins at 50% completion. You'd record 1,000 equivalent units, as if they were fully baked. In our example, 2,000 units at 100% count as 2,000 EU. At 50%, 1,000 EU. And at 25%, 500 EU. This lets us calculate a true cost per unit, even when production spans multiple periods. It's a crucial step in process costing to keep numbers in balance. Allocating costs in process costing follows 5 clear steps. First, summarize the physical flow. Beginning work. In process plus units started equals units completed plus ending WIP. Next, compute equivalent units to adjust for partial completion. Third, total all costs, both beginning inventory and current period. Fourth, divide total costs by equivalent units to find cost per EU. Finally, assign those costs to completed units and to ending WIP, completing the cycle. In our first case, no beginning work, in process, March's mixing department started with 0 inventory. We kicked off 10,000 units, completed and transferred out 8,000, and left 2,000 in ending WIP. Direct materials cost $50,000 and conversion costs were $36,000, for a total of $86,000. Those 2,000 units in ending WIP are 100% complete for materials and 40% complete for conversion, setting the stage for equivalent unit calculations. Now we'll calculate how those percentages translate into equivalent units. The production cost report for Case 1 walks through steps 1 to 5. We accounted for 10,000 physical units, full materials EU and 8,800 conversion EU, due to the 40% completion on ending WIP. Total costs to account for came to $86,000, yielding a cost per EU of $9.09 overall, split into $5 for materials and $4.09 for conversion. That allocates $72,727 to completed units and $13,273 to ending WIP. In Case 2, we blend beginning WIP costs with current period expenses using the weighted average method. April's mixing department starts with 3,000 units, already 100% complete for materials, and 60% for conversion. After adding 10,000 new units, we complete 9,000 and leave 4,000 in ending WIP at full materials and 25% conversion. Combined costs of $59,000 for materials and $41,400 for conversion form a $100,400 base for per EU calculations. Here's the weighted average cost report for Case 2 across steps 1 to 5. We had 13,000 total equivalent units for materials and 10,000 for conversion after blending beginning and current work. Total costs to account for reached $100,400. giving cost per EU of $8,678 overall, $4.538 for materials, and $4.140 for conversion. That allocates $78,106 to completed units and $22,294 to ending WIP. This breakdown illustrates how weighted averages smooth fluctuations between periods. To recap, equivalent units convert partial work into whole unit terms for accurate per-unit costing. Always follow the 5-step process: physical flow, EU computation, total costs, cost per EU, and cost assignment. Remember, the weighted average method blends beginning WIP with current costs, reflecting all work done to date. Finally, verify costs in equal costs out. Total costs to account for must match completed unit costs plus ending WIP costs.